Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So it'll be another sort of mishmash of jobs again this week because I've got a bit of all sorts to do. First job in this video will actually be from Friday last week. I didn't have time to put it in last week's video, so I'll put that in now. Right, so I just need to leave this job for the time being because I've got a line boring job that came in a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, I need to get that done. Right, so this is the headstock that we need to bar. So we've just got this bottom pin, these pinholes to line bar. So there's a bit of slack in there. So I think what the farmer's done is bought a new JCB and then he wants this headstock to fit on his new JCB because this is a Sanderson brackets onto a JCB. So rather than getting a new one made, you can just swap his old headstock onto his new machine. But then there's no point putting a headstock that's got wear in it onto a brand new machine. So yeah, it needs sorting out, as you can see there. So yeah, nice simple job. Bar them through, re-weld them back up and then bar them back to size again. And we've got a new pin. Get off. We've got a new pin which measures, I'm surprised it's Imperial, it measures 2 inch. But at least we've got that to measure off. So to line bar this, I'm going to use the old line bar, the one I made myself, rather than, I have an S-Power machine as well, which you've seen on the channel before. But yeah, I'm going to use this because I'm going to weld these up by hand. Now the S-Power does come with a bar welder, but they're not suited for small bars apparently, so yeah, it'll be easy. I can get access all the way around the hole, so it'd be just as easy and quick to weld it around by hand. These bearing mounts that I made, if I need to, I can take the mount off the plate and leave the plate on and then reach through like the hole to weld round, which I can't do with the S-Power. So yeah, that's why I'm going to use the one I made. And I think to line the bar up, I'm just going to use my centering cones because you can still see like the original chamfer around the outside of the hole, which that should line up nicely with that on both sides. Then the legs from the bearing mount should just weld onto here, maybe one on the top. So yeah, I'll get that set up. Right, so that's them bearing mounts tacked on there. I changed over onto one of them bearings rather than one of them because my bars aren't sharp long enough. So I only need that one on this end so I can clamp the line bar onto there. So hopefully I can run a pass through there, just like a rough pass first, without a bearing in the middle, and then when I do the second cut, or the final cut when I'm cutting it to size, I'll put a bearing in the middle because otherwise it will probably chatter a bit. But if I can get away without putting one in to start with, and then hopefully I can get in from this side to weld round the hole, and then I won't have to take them bearings off. Well, I won't be able to take that one off, but I'll be able to take this one off and then put it back on again. Right, so I've got that on, and I've got that tool set up in there, so that should just take out 1 millimetre or so at both sides. Yeah, hopefully we won't have too much chatter. Right, that cut nice through there. I can just see, well, you won't be able to see, but I can see the hole is not quite fully cleaned up. Looks like there's a few bits of like pitted areas, so I might just go through again with another slightly deeper cut. And I'm using one of the inserts that came with the S-Power. They fit onto, these are smaller tools, these are 12mm tools, where the S-Power is 14mm tools, but the inserts still fit. I'll back that through again and then go slightly deeper, and then onto that one. Right, so that's that one done. You can see it is a bit chattery when it gets to the outside of the hole. It cuts that side, this boss, really nice, and then it gets into this bit, it's a bit chattery. Whether it's a different, maybe harder plate, different grade of plate to what that's made out, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we'll move on to this one and get this one quickly barred through. Right, so this one does chatter quite badly and it's taken the end off the insert. It did it first, I got to pass through it and I changed the insert or turned it round because it had taken the end off, and then it's got halfway through and done the same again. So, but anyway, it's cleared the hole out, so it'd be good enough for me to weld now. So I'll clean all this crap off, take the bar out and then weld it round. Right, so that's the bar out. You can just see how chattery it is in there, and then where it's got to and the insert broke. But there's enough there for me to weld back up. Now I have got that other bar welder, but it doesn't seem that I can mount onto here, but it doesn't seem like it wants to bar horizontal very well. It seems to only like doing vertical holes because the torch is a bit wobbly and I sort of can't get it to run true. So rather than fiddling about that, like I say, I'm just going to hand weld them up. Be quicker and easier. Well, maybe not easier, but it'd be quicker. I should be able to reach all the way around with a little torch, I think, provided I can see. got these holes welded round now. Mostly wants a bit more around here, but I thought that there was wear, but it's actually not. I've realised now that that boss there is welded all the way through that plate. So that plate has been a big hole, and then I've welded that through both sides. But what I've noticed is that is cracked there. That weld that holds this side of the bushing is cracked. So I'll have to gouge that out and re-weld that up. Now, I know people will comment saying, why didn't you just chop them out and make some new ones and weld them in? But that's not really a proper fix. I like to line bore stuff, or the proper fix is to line bore stuff, and then everything is in line, and everything is, you know, tight. The pin is tight in the hole. But anyway, yeah, it was pretty difficult reaching in to get them welded round. That was actually easier than this one. This one, I was struggling a bit at the top. You can't see him very well, but yeah, it was pretty difficult, was that one. But I've got that crack ground out and welded round. So yeah, I think I've got enough weld in them holes now. So I'll put the bar back through, and then we'll put that bearing in the middle there. And hopefully that should get rid of the chatter. Right, so I've done 2 passes on here now. I just need to do 1 more pass to get it to final size. So I'm using these spring calipers to measure it. So they just to say touching like the wall, the bore, sides of the bore, and then I measure them with the vernier calipers. So then I've worked out I need to move the tool on that much. Well, it's twice as much as that, but because it's cutting at both sides, you take half out. So yeah, that's what I need to move the tool on to get to the final cut size. Right, so that's the last cut done on that one. I stopped and checked and it was a little bit too big, so I altered it again so it wasn't cutting as much out, and we should be bang on the money at that. I don't quite like using these big ones as much as I use the little ones, but the little ones have too much of a kick on the end and it won't fit in between the bar and the bar. Yeah, that's that one done, so we'll move that tool down to there and then do the same on this one. Right, so we've got one more cut to do on this one now, and that's how much we want taken out. It's not chattering now, we've got that second bearing in. So I've just taken this bearing off at this end, tried the pin. That was about perfect, as I would have said. Obviously it won't go through the bearing because the bearing's smaller, but I'll take that off. Well, I'll take everything off now. I didn't bother facing them off because it'd be a waste of time. They've only been rough cut anyway, so I'll just grind them flat. And I'll use my little chamfering tool to chamfer the hole. Same with there, I'll grind that flat as well. Right, so that's all that taken off and ground down. I've drilled through that pinhole again where it was, I'd sort of gone over it with weld. The bars are nice. I've sprayed it. It's black now, you can't see that well. And then that one, I think there's a little bit there in that one where I didn't quite get enough weld, but it shouldn't. It's not going to be of any problem. And then pin, and then the pin fits nice and tight. And then there's no wobble at all now on that. That's a lot better than it was. It'll be as new anyway. Just can't get that to line up. Then that's it with the bolt in. So yeah, that's that job finished. The top one, I didn't want that doing, there's a bush that goes in there, I think that would be a standard JCB bush. So that just wants replacing. But anyway, that's my job done. Right, so that's that line boring job done. And then I've been back on making them grids again. So I've got 2 of them grids made now. So I'll also put that in now, which I've done that this week. That was on Monday, Tuesday. So yeah, you're back up to scratch now with where I've got to. So that's both of them made. But I've got called off that job again. But they're finished. I just need to make the outer frame for them to sit in. But yeah, I've got called off that job again because I've got some augers that have come in that need repairing. So that's what I'm on with now. So I think these are, well, they're out of a combine. I think they'll be out of the tank, I'm guessing. I'm not sure whether they're like leveling augers or whether they're unloading augers. Not entirely sure. But like one's a left and one's a right. You can see with this one, the flights are all bent and they've sort of twisted themselves up. And then this auger is slightly bent at this end. So whether they run next to each other and they've got something through and it's bent that one and twisted all these flights, I'm not sure. But anyway, we've got this to sort out. So we have this auger. My dad, I think they got this from a sale with another auger. And the other auger he wanted, and this one is sort of a spare one. And we've already chopped a bit off this for repairing another auger in our combine. So he says I can use this to repair that one. So it's slightly different. The inside diameter is slightly different. The outside's slightly bigger, and the pitch is slightly different. There's 10mm difference in pitch. These are 10mm smaller than what they are. So whether I can stretch these out a bit or whether they'll be alright, I'm not sure. Yeah, but first job, we'll get rid of these twisted ones. So it's supposed to look like that. It's supposed to have that in there and that triangle in the back. That's all got bent and this bit's missing. So when I sort of measure the pitch on these augers, these are sort of 210-ish, 215, and these ones are only sort of 200. But so if I measure on here, and then when it starts to get smaller, which is about there, so that is where I'm going to cut them flights off from there. I think replacing them will be easier than trying to straighten these out, because they're like twisted round and twisted the other way, so it's going to be a bit of a nightmare. So I'll just chop them off. I've got that old flighting cut off, I've managed to blow a big hole in it, which I didn't want to do, but I was just sort of pointing the plasma at the wrong angle, and because it's so thin, it just sort of melted all through. But anyway, I have to fill that up. So yeah, I'll try and cut off some flights off here now to match what I've taken off there. Right, so I've got them flights cut off there. Now I'm sure probably you're all screaming at the screen telling me the flight's the opposite way, which I'm sure when I looked this morning, I thought they were the right way, but anyway, yeah, they're not. So it's a shame, because when you put that on there, that fits there absolutely perfect, but it's the opposite way. So yeah, I'm pretty tired this week, so obviously I'm not thinking clearly, but yeah, opposite way on. So let's buggered that plan. Deciding whether I can straighten these old ones out and re-weld them back on, but that's not going to be easy, or whether I cut some flat ones out and then pull them to shape myself. Right, so I've been on Microsoft Copilot again, and I've told it what I need for the pitch and the diameters, 190mm outside diameter and 49mm inside diameter, and then it's giving me an outer diameter of 102 and inner of 82. So, then also 119 degrees like gap. So when I draw that, that's what that looks like. So that should be like one flight once it's sort of pulled to shape. So I'm going to cut 3 out. I only need 2, but if I join them all together and then pull them to shape, and then I'll have to cut off the bit that I don't need, and hopefully that should work. I know a lot of you will watch On Fire Welding as well on YouTube. He's done a similar thing to this, well, same thing as this, and then I've seen them do it in India or Pakistan or wherever they are. I've seen them do it as well. So yeah, it is a way of making auger flights. Them flights are only 3mm thick, so I've got some 3mm on already, so I'll cut them out with that and see how we go. Right, so I've got them 3 cut out. Well, the first one, I cut it out and checked it, and it's a bit small on the diameter for some reason. Inside, well, the inside is what Copilot said, and so was the outside, but when you match it up to the old flight, the flight wasn't wide enough, so I cut some bigger ones out. So what I need to do now is, well, I need to weld that one down to like a plate, and then on the other side, I'll have to make sure I'm doing them the right-handed as well. So I weld one side down to the plate, and then I weld this flight onto that, like that. And the smaller one I can use, I think I only need 2 flights, but the smaller one I can use to pull it with. When I watched On Fire Welding's video, he had to chop like a section off because it sort of distorted the end one. So the end, hopefully that end one will take all the distortion and the others should pull to shape. Bring a bit of plate in that I can run the forklift onto, and then I'll use the forklift to open them up. Right, so I've got them welded onto there, a bit of bucket edge, and then I've welded that on the end to pull it by. We should be the right way around now. I think that's opposite way around to that, so that should give us the right side. So anyway, I'll try it. I maybe shouldn't have welded that overhang in the middle, but so yeah, I'll run over that with a forklift and then put a strap through there and pull it and see what happens. Well, it's kind of working. It's just broken a weld off. I'll have to weld it on better at the bottom. Attempt number 2. So I've got that welded on better across there now. I've got a bit of bar to go in the middle. Once this bit's out the way, that bit of bar should fit in, and then we'll just keep pulling it either until we get the right pitch or until it fits that bit of bar. Right, so we're nearly there with that. It broke off across the weld across the bottom. I've not quite pulled it enough yet. I need 370mm which is there. So yeah, I think I'll have to do it again, but with maybe cut 4 flights out, so then I can chop a bit off the bottom and I can sort of pick the best bit out the middle. And we're not quite there on the pitch either. That's sort of like 200 mil, we want 210. So we're not far off. I think I'll be able to do it. And then the hole in the middle, it's a bit loose at the moment, but it does need stretching a bit more. So yeah, I think I'll cut another 4 like flights out, weld them together, try and weld them together a bit better, because it's sort of, well, burnt through in the middle. It's sort of tearing. And because that one is smaller than these two, it's sort of pulling that one. It will do anyway, but it's, if I make 4 all the same size, and then have a go again. Right, so we've got another 4 of them cut out then, so we'll try again. You can see that weld that I welded it down with wasn't a very good weld, it just broke off. Also see where I've welded the flights together, they've started to pull apart as well. When you're welding 3mm plate with 1.2mm MIG wire, it's not easy. So I think I might TIG weld them together, and then I can get them welded together. Well, it'd be easier to weld them together with a TIG, I think. It was with the MIG. I like having a bit of practice with a TIG welder as well, because I don't really do much otherwise. So yeah, I'll grind it off, I'll weld that back on there with a MIG, and then I'll TIG them together. Right, so we've got them 4 TIG welded together now, and then that on the middle, that on the end, so I can pull it again by that. So yeah, we'll try that and see how that goes now. Right, so I think we're about there at that then. It's about, yeah, we're about what we want there. 210 pitch-ish. So it depends where you measure. So obviously I'll have to chop off this top bit. I don't need it all anyway, I only sort of need 2 of the flights. So yeah, I should have enough there to do me what I need to do. So yeah, I'll get that chopped off. And then I'll have to split them in half so I can actually get them onto the shaft. And then I'll have to fill it all in, and hopefully they'll match up and get me back down to there. Right, so I've got one cut off, and I think I maybe just have overdone it a little bit. It's going to be a little bit tight, like the hole through the middle. I think I've stretched it too much. So whether I can grind a bit out the middle to make it fit, should be able to, I think. I'll have a go at that. I'll see if I can grind a bit out and see if I can get that to fit around there. So I only need to go to there, so sort of that flight plus a bit more of another. Right, so I've got them 2 flights tacked on. They took a bit of fitting, and they're not perfect. They don't. That sort of needs a bit of persuasion there to make them fall around better. But you can see they sort of nearly follow. There's a bit off there where the original flight was. Ideally, I could have done my grinding all this off first, but I didn't want to grind off like where the original flights were, and it sort of ends in the same place. I had to add a little bit more on because I'd chopped too much off. And there's a bit of a gap in some places, but I can fill that with weld. So overall, I think that's all right. It'll do what it needs to do. It's not perfect, but it should work. So once I've got that welded round, then I can sort of hammer that one way or the other to sort of make it match up a bit better. Then I've got the right distance in here. That's sort of facing back a bit. It need to bend it back this way, and then this triangle going there like that. Yeah, not too bad. This other one has a bit of like channel on there, so I cut this bit of box up to put that on there. I don't think this one's ever had one because there's no evidence of any weld on there that's, you know, where you could see one of these is broken off. So maybe we won't bother with that. And then just that autofill. So yeah, I'll have a go at welding that on now. Or I'll have a go at grinding down a bit where I need to weld. And I'll put a lot more weld on it than what it was originally. And then it's not going to untwist itself like the other flights did. Right, so that is that welded on then. So yeah, I'm not going to bother with that, I think, because I don't think this one's ever had one on. But yeah, that should do the job. So it's not perfect by any means. It depends where you look at it. Some places it looks alright, and then you look at it in a different angle and it looks sort of like it doesn't follow on properly. But yeah, I think that should do the job. It's better than it was, better than bent flights, and better than no flights at all. And I don't think these augers will run in a tube. I think they'll just be open augers like they are now. I think. I'm not entirely sure whether they're leveling augers or like unloading augers. They might have a bit of a guard over, I'm not sure. On that hole that I burnt in there, I just filled up with weld. So fill that back in again. Right, so I need to try and do something about this one being bent now. So that end I can put a bearing on there. I could do with some V-blocks really, but I haven't got any. And I haven't really got time to make any. So yeah, I can put a bearing on that end. This end though, I can chop the bearing off, but then you can see when they've been getting it out, they've absolutely mullered the end of the shaft. So now that end of that shaft is mushroomed out. So I can't put a bearing on, so I'm going to have to sort that out before I can try and straighten it. So if I had some V-blocks, it wouldn't be a problem. That wouldn't be my problem, that would be someone else's. But in this one, they've done the same. They've mashed the end of that shaft. Well, that one's not my problem, so I'm not worried about that one. But yeah, I need to focus. Yeah, I need to do something with that. So I think I'm going to chop this bearing race off for the gas, and then I might be able to use my fixture table, the different fixtures from the fixture table to sort of run it on there. Yeah, I'll chop that off and then see how we get it, see if we can get it set up. And every time I chop a bearing off, I always get comments saying, oh, I do it like this or I do it like that, but I like doing it with the gas because I think it's fun and it's just good practice. I like to slice it off without touching the shaft. I know you can just slice through them with a grinder and smack them with a chisel or whatever, and there's all sorts of different ways to get them off. It's just my preferred way of doing it. Right, so I've got them sat on there now just with a mixture of fixtures, 2 squares and then one of them. I put a bit of grease on there so it's not, I don't want it to rub my numbers off. It's not really what they're intended for, but that's what I can use them for. Yeah, same on this end, and then when you spin it, you can see it's bent. So if I mark where the high spot is, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to straighten it. Right, so this would probably be easy if you had a press to put it in, but I haven't, so just trying to do the best I can. So I've got a bit of box under there, bit of box under there, and I've got 3 clamps on it. Now these clamps are not really intended for what I'm using them for, but I'm thinking now if I just warm a little bit up there and maybe a little bit up there and try and heat straighten it a little bit maybe. I don't want to whack it with a hammer, because if I whack it with a hammer everything will probably jump off, so yeah, I'll try that first, try a little bit of heat straightening. It must have moved a little bit because I can't get that block in now where I could do before. So the idea of the clamps is not to bend it back with the clamps, but it's just sort of to put a bit of pressure on it, and then when you heat straighten it, it sort of knows which way to bend. If that makes sense. So let that cool down and then take the clamps off and see what we're like. Well, that is a hell of a lot better than it was. It's still a little bit out. I don't know whether to do it again or make that do. It's hard to tell with it being an auger because you can't put anything up against it because obviously the flights come round. And the keyway keeps bumping up again there, which sort of makes it wobble. Like that. Right, so I've given it another warm up in the middle, and it doesn't look too bad now. There is still a little bit of wobble to it, but I think that's sort of the best I can do without spending ages and without any bearings on the end. So I think that'll have to do. We'll have to see what it's like when it's in the combine. I think I'll make that do. Yeah, I can't really do much else, I don't think.